Hello, my beauties and bees. Welcome to Cryptic Corner, where we take a look and explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. Thank you all for joining me this Friday night. I appreciate you. You are here with also my live audience and live from the Hive on Saturday morning. So make sure you tune in for that tomorrow morning as well. Now, today I am wearing my themed outfit because we are diving into the topic of ghost ships. Now, ghost ships are not like a new phenomenon. They transcend culture and time. They can be as simple as like, I'm going to butcher this name, but it's the Chase Gallery. It's French, so take with it what you will. It might be Chase Gallery, something like that. I don't know. Anyway, an accursed canoe manned by lumberjacks, right? So let's see here. Here we are. Clear my throat again. I'll have to edit this out. I don't know. All right, so yeah, it's a cursed canoe. Yeah, the lumberjacks, the lore around it goes that they made a deal with the devil to be able to take their canoe from their lumber camp to Montreal to see their sweethearts, but they were not allowed to take the Lord's name in vain, or not in vain, but speak the Lord's name at all, or touch any holy symbol. So the tale has a couple of different endings, but the primary one is that the steersman gets drunk and drives them into a church steeple, and or they almost hit the church steeple, and then the guy exclaims like Lord, that was close, or God damn, that was close, or something along those lines, and boom, they're doomed. And that's like a Faustian kind of thing. Sometimes they're not. It's not the devil though. Sometimes it's like the Lord of the Forest or whatever. The Wild Hunt, right? You all are familiar with the Wild Hunt. That's a piece of Northern European mythology. Hounds and wolves and horses and men shouting fills the air and fills the sky. Sometimes there's lights and other sounds as well, such as explosions or. Sometimes there's like St. Elmo's fire kind of lights, and what is it called when the foxfires? Foxfires are part of can be associated with the Wild Hunt too. It's a lot of visual and audible phenomena, but yeah, that's what this particular legend is about. This is just the first of the ghost ships that we're going to look at today. So, moving right along, the next one on our list we have is along the Chilean coast, right? There's this spectral craft that this one's a bit different. It's more like the Wild Hunt part of that than the lore behind it. And this one has multiple different origins to it. It's called the Caluche, and it can be manned by the dead, but it's also manned by other supernatural entities. It's very bright and musical, and it comes up into the canals, so they can witness it now on foggy days and things like that. But we're gonna see a trend here, and then we're gonna watch a video and crack it open. Okay, so stick with me. This is gonna be good stuff. All right, and then this one might be my favorite, except for maybe the big show, the big star, the Flying Dutchman that we're going to talk about here. But this is the Lady Lovibond. Okay, the story goes, and this is off the coast of Kent, right? That the Lady Lovibond was a ship that was captained by a man named Simon Reed, and he recently got married, and they were celebrating the marriage with a cruise in his ship that he captained. His first mate was secretly in love with his wife, or there was a love triangle of some kind. And the important part of the story that takes place on February 13th too. So a lot of historians think that it was just a fictional story made up for Valentine's Day, but you can be the judge. Yeah, but he, when, in anguish or whatever, he, 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 He forcefully took over the steering and steered the ship onto the Goodwin Sands, and it crashed and everybody died, including John Rivers, the first mate, and all on board. Now, every 50 years after that, allegedly, there were sightings of the same ship. In 1798, Captain James Westlake reported a sighting of a phantom vessel headed towards the sands. Then in 1848, local seamen were convinced they'd seen a ship go down in the sands, and they even sent lifeboats out to it. Now, in 1848, local seamen were convinced they'd seen oh, that's one I just did. Okay, they sent lifeboats out. And in 1948, a Captain Bull Prestwick saw her in an eerie white glow. Yeah, and ships, I guess, are gendered, so that just proves that chromosomes and gametes and gonads don't make gender. Because if a ship can be a she, so can Brie. Then in 1998, they sold out all the hotels in Kent. People waiting to see this ghost ship appear in the night, and nothing. So 1998, nothing. And then historians all the way back to the 1920s were already saying, hey, we think this story was just made up for Valentine's Day to make us a Valentine's Day destination, which is not a bad idea. That's a good sales gimmick, right? You can agree with me on that. All right, pirate shanties. Yeah, there should. Is there a musical of the Lady Lovabond? I wonder. That sounds like a good story for a musical. There's songs named that. So yeah, but there's actually a epic play about the Flying Dutchman too, by Wagner of all people. Like the most famous opera writer of all time wrote a play. That's kind of how the Flying Dutchman keeps its throne, because I think the Lady Lovabond could give it a run for its money if the Flying Dutchman weren't so popular in pop culture as the quintessential ghost ship. But moving on, we got the Palatine Lights. So this story gets kind of crude, and this character that's what was his name? Did I get his name? The ship was the Princess Augusta. Okay, so the Princess Augusta was carrying these Palatines. They're I guess I don't know what to call them besides an ethnic group from the old Byzantium Empire, right? This is hundreds of years ago. Let's see, because this story is, I lost the place on my script. Not really a script. It's like a bullet points, but okay, here we go. I didn't take down much in my notes about it, but anyway, they were run aground on this island, and so first of all, they were aiming for Pennsylvania, right? They left Europe and were aiming towards Pennsylvania, but they got blown off course, and the captain and all the people got sick because the water went bad. There was some kind of disease in the water. So I believe the number was 200 people that died, and they were blown into the northern seas. They ended up coming into the area of Nova Scotia in Rhode Island. Ended up by Nova Scotia, and then they steered southward to Brook Island, I think it was. I wish I'd taken it down in my notes, but they excuse me, I'm so sorry about my sore throat. But I'll have to cut all those out when I do my video. If a ship can be a she, so can Brie. That's gonna be my catchphrase. Ships are always women. I think cars are always women too, aren't they? I don't know, little bastard. We need to do we'll do ghost cars sometimes too. Don't don't think I'm going to short you on that. Ghost cars are awesome. Little bastard, and we can talk about some tropes about it too. The stuff that Christine, the Stephen King story. Yeah, good stuff. All right, so anyway, they got blown off course. They end up running aground on this island. While they were stranded, the captain's like, the people on the island are begging this cap, because the captain got off the boat with his crew in the lifeboats and left the passengers, the Palantines, on the boat to just perish. Now, the people of the island, they actually went out in their own boats and ended up getting the rest of the people off the boat that was crashed onto the rocks because of this first mate who took over when the captain fell ill and died to the disease. So it's a pretty wild tale. Now, some people say that the islanders used lights to lure the ship onto the rocks so that they could loot and pillage it. So that's a legend too. But there are people who allegedly stayed here and lived in the Brook Island colony because they the help that they received and they wanted to be part of that community. So yeah, there are so many different burning ghost ships that it's hard to know even where to start. There's a 200-year-old myth about a 4-mast schooner that's sails are ablaze in the Northumberland Pass. And sometimes it's just a little lantern light, but a lot of times it's a huge blazing beacon fire, right? So yeah, and then we have the teaser light. This was the what's the ship called? It's called the Young Teaser, and it's a ship that exploded in Mahone Bay. So it's one of the ones that appears in a blaze of glory with flaming sails and all the good stuff like that. All right, and then, oh wait, that's not that's not this. This isn't the teaser. Sorry, this is the Rouse Simmons. This one's from Lake Michigan. This is the Christmas tree ship. So for like 30 years after this ship disappeared, the ship was loaded down with like 3,000 Christmas trees, right? 3,000 Christmas trees on this sailboat in 1912, crossing the Lake Michigan, hit a storm, disappeared forever, right? Well, almost forever. I think they found it recently, actually. But for like 30 years after it disappeared, people still reported on foggy days they'd run into the Christmas tree ship with its tattered sails and just husk of trees strapped down to it for 30 years. I always thought that was really cool. But you know what? I'm rambling on enough. It's time to get to the Flying Dutchman. Okay, so we're going to switch gears and we're going to switch over to a quick little 10-minute video that we're going to watch. So stick with me here, my Hive, and this while I get this switched over. As everybody knows, I run production, write, and star in everything I'm doing here. So it does get a bit clunky sometimes during the transitions, but this is done for my Friday show. And you guys are here to help me along the way and give me some visual support. So thank you so much for sticking with me while I fumble about with my different options to try to make sure that I am sharing the right stuff. Sorry if that was quite bright and jarring. It's like, it's really bright, but it doesn't stay bright like this. This is just, actually, let me go ahead and plug the channel real quick. I always forget to do this. So this is Brightside. It's just like an educational channel. Really big one, 44K subscribers, etc. So let's see what they have to say about the Flying Dutchman. There we go. We go like this.
Ooh, the truth about the mysterious ghost ship has been revealed. There are many untold secrets and inexplicable mysteries in this world. For centuries, a ghost ship has been sailing on the oceans, bringing bad luck to any poor soul that sets eyes on it. This ship is the Flying Dutchman, the most notorious and legendary vessel of all time. Not so long ago, scientists announced that they'd solved the enigma of the Flying Dutchman. Only, did they really? Before we set sail on this ghostly adventure, hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to
I'm gonna rock back and forth like I'm on a ship while we watch this.
join us on the bright side. On July 11, 1881, the HMS Bacchante was sailing near the shores of Australia. Young Prince George, who was to become King George V 30 years later, and his older brother Prince Albert Victor were on board that ship. At 4 a.m., the crew saw a strange red light in the distance. In that light, the Flying Dutchman appeared on the waves. 13 people witnessed it, but by the time the Bacchante reached the place where the ship had first been spotted, well, there was no sign that a vessel had ever been there. However, a tragedy that struck soon after.
That's a common thing. They see like a ship going down or disappearing into the waves, and they go to see if they can't rescue the people, and it's gone. Yeah.
Convinced the seamen that they'd seen the infamous ghost ship. Later that same morning, the crew member who had first noticed the mysterious vessel fell from the topmast. He didn't survive.
So now we're talking curses. This is very similar. The way that these things play out is very similar to the Curse of the Pharaoh or the Hope Diamond. What you do is you count the hits and ignore the misses. You draw bullseyes around the ones that hit, right? So like the Curse of King Tut, the Curse of the Pharaoh. That's a great place to start. So with that, you count all the people that tragedy befell in the coming months or years after they opened the tomb, right? And unleashed the curse or what have you. But there were dozens of people that were associated with it tertiarily or directly who didn't succumb to it. So you ignore those. You just circle the ones that did have something happen. This is also what David Paulides from Missing 411 builds his narrative on, which I don't want to say that David Paulides is disingenuous, but it is counting the hits and ignoring the misses with Missing 411. And the Hope Diamond's the same way. Other people have been associated with or handled or at some point owned even the Hope Diamond and did not succumb to further tragedy. Yeah, I've done the Crystal Skulls. I haven't done the Hope Diamond yet. It is on the list. I do have I have the Curse of the Pharaohs on the list too, but those probably won't be for a while yet. We'll see. And I may combine a few of them because they're really, once you start digging into them, most of them are a moot point. Like sort of like the Oak Island stuff. That's a moot point at a certain level. Anyway, let's continue on.
There have been other sightings of the Flying Dutchman. Nicholas Montserrat, the author famous for his novel The Cruel Sea, saw the ghost ship in the Pacific Ocean. This happened during World War II, when he was serving as an officer of the Royal Navy. The crew of a German submarine also...
Now, I want to say that this is an anomalous sighting of the Flying Dutchman because generally speaking, the Flying Dutchman is associated with the Cape of Good Hope around the Horn of Africa. So most of the sightings occur in the Atlantic or Indian Ocean. A Pacific sighting is very rare. Australian sightings are not so rare though because of the path. We'll get into that in just a little bit.
Noticed the Flying Dutchman during the Second World War. This time, the ghost ship was sailing the waters of the Suez Canal. In 1939, inhabitants of Cape Town, South Africa, reported that they'd seen the ship going under full sail. Then, all of a sudden, it disappeared into thin air. And of course, SpongeBob has had his own encounters with the...
Oh gosh, I love it. I love SpongeBob. And I don't know if you all noticed the Flying Dutchman flying across the top of the screen here. But yeah, he's been with us since the beginning because I am a SpongeBob-aholic. SpongeBob is like, and I'm older too, so I was like a little kid when SpongeBob came out, but it's because of my kids that I have so much nostalgia for SpongeBob. I can put SpongeBob on or Adventure Time on in the background just to have like a comfort of hearing those familiar sounds and voices. So the Flying Dutchman is near and dear to my heart. The SpongeBob Flying Dutchman is.
A wily ghost named after the mystery ship. Few people know that behind the story of the Flying Dutchman, there was a real ship. According to most sources, it was the vessel of Captain Hendrik van der Decken, who is often called the Dutchman. This ship sank in 1641, but many sailors claim to have seen it afterward, and each time, the encounter served as a bad omen. Captain van der Decken made a dangerous voyage from Holland to the Far East Indies.
It's weird that they showed like a 20th century captain there, because van der Decken wouldn't have been of that persuasion. He wouldn't have. Yeah. Anyway,
to buy some rare and exotic goods. After several close calls, he finally made it to his destination. The crew made all the necessary repairs while the ship was docked, and then they all set off for home. When they were passing by the southern coast of Africa, the captain realized that it would be a perfect idea to create a settlement next to the Cape of Good Hope. It could give a much-needed rest area for travelers and provide them with a break from the stormy seas. But as the ship was rounding the cape, a powerful gale descended on it. The crew tried to persuade Captain van der Decken to turn around. When they didn't succeed, a rebellion started. But the captain got rid of the leaders and ordered his men to stay the course. However, the ship never...
A mutiny was attempted, is what that comes down to. So, no. All right.
...did reach the shore. People say that the Flying Dutchman is cursed to sail the seas and oceans forever, and the one to blame for this tragic destiny is Captain van der Decken himself. According to one legend...
Here we come. Here comes Faust. Faust?
There was a young couple on board the ship that was going to Holland. The captain took a liking to the girl and got rid of her fiancé. Not surprisingly, this did not help his chances. The broken-hearted lady then disappeared one night. When the ship was close to the Cape of Good Hope, it fell into a terrible storm. Superstitious sailors started to blame their captain, but he announced that nobody would go ashore until they rounded the cape, even if it took ages. And the voice from the sky thundered, "So be it."
Flying
There are other
Dutchman.
versions of this legend. For example, according to one of them, the whole crew of the Dutch merchant ship caught a terrible disease. No port agreed to give shelter to the ship because people were afraid that the infection would spread.
See, there's so many different versions of this, and that one sounds a lot like what we talked about with the Lady Levibond, right? The sickness infecting the... Or no, that's not the Lady Levibond. That was the Augusta, the one that we spoke about, where the Palatine light, yeah.
That's why this vessel, along with its whole crew, is still drifting across the waters. Another legend says that one day, the crew of the Flying Dutchman was hurrying to get home and refused to rescue a sinking ship. This heartless act put a curse on the Dutch ship. According to some people, the ship can rid itself of the curse if the captain goes ashore and finds a girl who will agree to become his wife. Good luck with
And
that.
this is the mythology that they went and used in the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, or movies, to elaborate on mythology and such. But it's weird that they don't take the Pirates of the Caribbean series to the Cape of Good Hope. I think that would be a good change up of the setting for the movie series, is to explore the Cape of Good Hope, or even maybe explore the east coast of Australia, even during the Age of Exploration. Explore some of those Polynesian islands and stuff, and incorporate some of their mythology. I think that would be a good direction for the Pirates series, but that's just me.
That. Others believe that there's some magic word that can lift the curse and let the Flying Dutchman and its crew rest in peace. Some seamen are convinced that the ship, led by the immortal Captain van der Decken, guides other vessels off course. As a result, they crash against reefs or on underwater rocks. But what does modern science have to say about all this talk of ghost ships and curses? Well, all the sightings of the Flying Dutchman can be explained by a phenomenon called Fata Morgana. This is
what I love. Fata Morgana. Love it so much. It's a fantastic mirage phenomena, and this is...
basically a mirage, and it was named after the sorceress Morgan Le Fay, also known as Morgana, that lived in the times of King Arthur. People believe that she used her magic to create mirages of false islands or ghostly castles in the air. This way, she lured sailors to their demise. Fata Morgana happens when light bends due to different air temperatures. The surface of the water provides perfect conditions for the appearance of this anomaly. Have you ever seen a shimmery image over a hot asphalt road? It occurs when heat waves rise from its surface. The same phenomenon takes place in the sea, too. You may notice ships forming in the distance, but it's nothing more than a play of light. As for
Fantastic. This is why I wanted to do this video, because I love the explanation that they give right here.
the Flying Dutchman, its mirage reflects ships that are, in fact, far away, beyond the horizon. The curve of the Earth makes the light bend in just the right way to create this illusion. There are several other types of mirages that can confuse and scare anyone. Take a sundog, for instance. This phenomenon makes bright spots of light appear on one or both sides.
Now, if you all don't remember, if you didn't watch, or if you're new to the channel, I did do a video on the miracle of the sun, Our Lady Fatima, and my inference was that they were witnessing a sundog based on the description. So if you want, I'm going to actually have that, I think I can have that like pop up, like a link to that up there. So I'm going to do that. Yep. Hit that link if you're interested in watching that video.
Sides of the sun. This effect is caused by light passing through ice crystals. It gets refracted through them and looks as if it's coming from different sources. Desert mirage happens when light bends and moves through warmer air that's less dense. Such mirages often appear as bodies of water that lure thirsty travelers. One of the creepiest looking mirages is the Brocken Spectre. This phenomenon was named after the highest peak in Germany's Harz Mountains, so you can assume that this site is reserved just for mountain climbers. What you'd see is a giant humanoid figure that suddenly appears in the haze. But don't worry, that's not an alien ready to abduct you, it's just your own shadow. When the sun shines around...
There's a place in Scotland where they have this phenomenon called the Big Gray Man. It's kind of linked with wild man lore and tangentially with like Bigfoot lore. But the key takeaway is that it's the same phenomenon that they're talking. It happens in the I believe it's in the Scottish Highlands, and it's the same phenomena that they're talking about here. So
around a person at high altitudes, it creates a halo-like glow. The shadow seems to be moving due to the movement of clouds. Light pillars are unnaturally huge beams of light shooting up into the sky. This phenomenon also occurs when light gets reflected off ice crystals in the cold air. That's why this anomaly mostly happens in cold climates in the winter. Omega Sun is a mirage that occurs during sunsets. In this case, when the sun is just over the horizon, it takes the shape of the Greek letter omega. The legs of the letter appear when warm water heats the cool air above its surface. This phenomenon is particularly visible when the waters are calm. Well, scientists are probably right. Chances are that Fata Morgana and other visual illusions like it did play tricks on sailors' minds. But what about those cases when witnesses went crazy or lost their lives after encountering the Flying Dutchman? People of science consider these tragedies mere coincidences, or simply the result of psychosomatic trauma that developed when seamen couldn't explain what they'd seen.
So, yeah.
And what do you believe? Is there really...
All right, so that was our Cryptic Corner coverage of ghost ships. Now the reason I played that video was mostly for that last 5 minutes of it, where they went over all the different phenomena that actually does account for these sightings. So yes, that was our coverage of ghost ships and the Flying Dutchman on Cryptic Corner. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Return tomorrow morning. And we will be seeing you live from the Hive.